Today on the Chad Schlegel Show, coaching you to and through retirement, we're going to discuss the recent potential changes in 401ks and retirement plans that could change the whole retirement landscape. And on our Coach's Corner, we're going to discuss the importance of transitioning from the accumulation phase to the preservation phase of life. And on our Chalk Talk segment today, we're going to discuss the benefits of rolling over your 401k or retirement plan to an IRA, even if you're still working. So sit back, relax, and learn. The Chad Schlegel Show starts now. I'm Chad Schlegel. I believe financial planning is about educating people and empowering them to make better decisions with their hard-earned dollars. Coaching gives me satisfaction from watching a player succeed and get better. You need an experienced team around you. The best coaches have great assistant coaches. I have brought a lot of the techniques and structure I learned from playing and coaching football and applied them to the world of investing. My goal now is to coach as many individuals and families as I can on how to get successfully to and through retirement. Welcome into the Chad Schlegel Show, coaching you to and through retirement. I'm the coach, Chad Schlegel, and I'm joined here today with my colleague, Chad Tobin. And today on the Clipboard segment, we want to discuss the potential changes in 401ks and retirement plans that could change the world of retirement, or the whole retirement landscape. And the world we live in is forever changing, Chad, and it always seems to evolve in one way or another. Whether it's technology, occupations, fitness, you name it, there always seems to be constant changes going on around us, a lot of noise, if you will. And the retirement industry is another great example of change. As many of you may be familiar, the major changes that have been happening over the last few decades. And one of the major changes that we're referring to is employers moving away from those defined benefit plans, otherwise known as pensions, and moving towards defined contribution plans such as the 401k or other retirement vehicles that you've set up through work. And the changes put the burden on your shoulders now rather than the employer. Now, those of you that have a 401k or retirement plan through work, you have to figure out a way to make that money last when you do decide to retire. Before, your employer provided you with a pension or monthly income stream once you retired, so you really didn't have to do much planning at all. Well, what we want to talk about today and discuss are some changes that are trying to take place to add some protection and lifetime income products inside those 401ks and company plans. And we also want to talk a little bit more about those 401ks and company plans and what options may be available to you to help prepare you better for retirement.
You know, Chad, as you just mentioned, some of the things changes with our industry in retirement planning, some of those things being bad for retirees, but there has also been a lot of things that have been very good for retirees in some of those changes in our industry. It made me kind of sit here and think about us when we were kids and maybe our parents, some of those, lifestyle changes that have happened from when they raised us as kids and now us having our own kids, some of those changes even going through our children's lives. And I think there's good things, but there's also bad things, and we just have to learn and educate ourselves to adapt to make those changes.
Absolutely, Chad. There's an old saying that I like to use all the time: if you're not growing, you're dying. So we have to evolve, we have to change, especially in the economic environment that we have now. Again, we live in a pension society, so now the burden is all on you to be proactive and build a game plan, stop depending on someone else to take care of you. And that's what we're going to talk about today, are the potential changes that could be coming in 401ks. If they don't come, how to react. If they do come, how to react, as well as the benefits of rolling those 401ks and those retirement accounts over to an IRA. And that's what we want to jump in, and that's what we want to talk about here today. So when we return on the Coach's Corner, we're going to discuss the importance of transitioning from the accumulation phase to the preservation phase of life. We'll be right back. The number one concern of retirees today is outliving their hard-earned dollars. It is more important now than ever to educate and empower yourself to make better decisions with your money than it has taken you 30 to 40 years to accumulate. How do you do this? By using our financial GPS, our guided planning system. This is a 4-step process to help get you successfully to and through retirement. The first step in this process is to create clarity. Here we will help identify your goals as well as your concerns and identify what you want to accomplish in retirement. The second step, we will analyze the risk you're taking with your current portfolio, and this step will also identify exactly what you are paying in fees. In the third step, we will evaluate and assess your current plan and help identify the gap between the missing pieces. And in the fourth and final step, this is where we will work together to implement a plan of action to accomplish your retirement goals. And this process can take place at any one of our convenient locations in Missouri and in Illinois. So call now to get set up on that right path on your journey through retirement. Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. Today on the Coach's Corner, we're going to discuss the importance of transitioning from the accumulation phase to the preservation phase of life. And Chad, before we jump into the different phases of your financial life, we want to shed a little light today on some potential changes that could happen in the retirement world. And when we say changes, we're talking particularly about 401ks and other defined contribution plans. And these changes have been discussed before, but there have been efforts to make some updates to these accounts in hopes of making retirement easier for all of you out there. Because we all know that retirement is supposed to be your golden years or that stress-free time of your life. Well, unfortunately, this is not always the case because many times people do not prepare for retirement like they probably should. And this can cause for a lot of headaches once you decide to call it quits from your job. Retirement today is completely different than it was 20 years ago. Many of you watched your parents or your grandparents get to retirement and do little planning at all. Why? Because they had a plan already set up for them in the form of a pension and Social Security. So when they retired, they just adjusted their lifestyle to that income they knew was going to come in each and every month for the rest of their life, no matter how long they lived. However, today, less than 20% of American workers have a pension. And of course, Social Security is not enough to live off of. So the days of the government and your employer taking care of you are gone. So today you have to be proactive and take care of yourself. Do not depend on someone else to take care of you, Chad. And unfortunately, a lot of people still do not understand that.
Yeah, and I think, it's no different. When we talk about a lot of people spend more time planning their family vacations than they do planning their retirement. And it's so important to have a game plan and have a plan in place. And that's what really we're stressing here today is as you're making that transition from that growth and that accumulation phase when you're working and raising that family to now having to start focusing on your retirement and that preservation phase, it's so important to have that game plan.
That's right, Chad. And unfortunately now, a lot of politicians and a lot of economists are kind of catching on and they're figuring out, hey, pensions are gone. We need to come up with another game plan for these retirees. So let's go ahead and discuss the potential new changes that can happen with retirement plans. As you can see here on your screen, as of 2019, lawmakers in Washington, D.C. presented the Increasing Access to a Secure Retirement Act. And this is a bipartisan piece of legislation that clarifies and strengthens existing rules to make it easier for retirement plan sponsors to provide guaranteed lifetime income products as part of their employer benefits. In other words, lawmakers are looking to find ways to make 401ks and other retirement plans more like what we got away from, those old defined benefit plans, those pension plans, by offering that guaranteed plan of income stream inside of, Chad, inside of those 401ks or those company plans that you may have set up through work.
And we talk about having some peace of mind in retirement and retirees that retire with a nice pension, they have a little Social Security on top of that. They have, what we find is a lot more peace of mind taking them through retirement because they know that income is going to come in regardless of how long they live and most likely their spouses live, depending on their choices with the pension. And so some of these changes, as we talked about earlier, evolution and changes being made over time, this is a good thing that some of these kind of protection vehicles are going to be added or could be added inside these plans.
You know, Chet, after being in this business 26 years, I would say it's about time that we're hopefully seeing something like this to come out to help all of you that do not have that pension or just have a small pension. So that brings us to our next point, transitioning from the accumulation phase to the preservation phase of life. You know, we talk about the accumulation phase. That starts when we're about 20, 21, 22 years of age and you start working, all the way up till about 62 when you decide to retire. And the whole mindset here is to grow at all costs and accumulate that wealth. And what you have on your side when you're in the accumulation phase, Chad, you have time on your side. So if you're 45, 46 years of age like I am and you lose 20 to 30% of your 401k, it's not as big a deal. Why? Because you have time to make up for those losses. I have another 10, 15, 20 years to make up for those losses. But also when you're working in this accumulation phase, if the market's down, it's not as big a deal because you also have that new money coming in from that paycheck, from that hourly wage or that salary that kind of helps make up for those losses. And the 401k and other retirement vehicles are great for growing in the accumulation phase. However, Chad, they're not necessarily the best place as you get closer to retirement, as you get closer to that preservation phase of life.
Yeah, and especially if this is the bucket that you're needing to draw an income from, and you just can't afford to take that kind of hit, like a 30-40% hit in a bucket that you're needing income to last throughout the rest of your life. So some of these things, as we're talking about, that get you to retirement may not be the same or the best vehicles to be in through retirement.
So that brings us to the next point we just talked about, would be transitioning from the accumulation phase. Now as you get closer to retirement, you're going to enter what we call the preservation phase of life. 60, 62, when you decide to retire, maybe 65, and throughout the rest of your life. So when you retire today, it's like having 25 to 35 years of unemployment. So the whole game plan should be protect and preserve that wealth that has taken you all your life to accumulate. Of course, time and earning capabilities are no longer on your side, as we talked about. You know, now when you retire, a lot of people don't have that pension, or they have a skeleton of the pension that they thought they were going to have when they retired. So now you have to draw off this money to live off of, as well as you don't have time. If the market drops 20 to 30%, you don't have time to make up for those losses. So now you have to find a way to take that nest egg that you've worked all your life for, set it up in as an income stream that's going to last throughout the rest of your life, no matter how long you live and no matter how long your spouse lives. And unfortunately, Chad, we find so many people today, they're trying to do that by throwing all of their money in the stock market. And the problem with that is it may or it may not last. Why? Because we have no idea, Chad, if the market's going to go up or it's going to go down. But also, you have no idea how long you're going to live. Do you need to build a plan to get you to 75, 85, 95, or 105 years of age? You have no idea. So it's about having that mindset and setting up that proper game plan and really insulating that portfolio as you get closer and get into that preservation phase of life.
Yeah, and this is common that we see. You know, a lot of people come in that are sitting there and they're wanting to, you know, start building a game plan to get them through retirement, maybe add some insulation and add some more income-focused investments in that plan, but they just don't know how. And I think, you know, if we don't make that transition and make some changes from that accumulation and growth phase to the preservation to get you through retirement, you know, it's a big mistake, and that's what we're trying to help people understand, is making those changes are important.
And that's why, again, these laws that may or may not be passed, they're going to make you do this, which in my opinion is probably a good thing inside of those 401ks or company plans. To download our free white paper today about changing the story of retirement, visit www.schlegelfinancial.com/empoweryou. Coming up on Chalk Talk, we're going to discuss the benefits of rolling your 401k or retirement plan to an IRA, even if you plan on continuing to work. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, let's go.
He's such an involved dad. He's always telling the kids stories. I remember when so-and-so said I couldn't do this, or I didn't make this team. That's what drives him. In our family, we always tell our kids to stick up for each other, stand behind one another. He feels it's his role to provide, keep us safe, and to make sure that the kids are taken care of. A lot of Chad's clients have the same traditional values, and he bonds with them. Each family has a different set of circumstances, and each family is unique and different. The common thread between all of Chad's clients is that they want the best for their family, just as he would our own family.
Welcome back into the Chad Schlegel Show, coaching you to and through retirement. So we just went over the importance of transitioning from that accumulation phase to the preservation phase of life. Now in our Chalk Talk segment, we're going to discuss the benefits of rolling your 401k or retirement plan to an IRA, even if you are still working. And the key to understand here is that the 401k and other retirement plans are a great vehicle to use during the accumulation phase of life. However, they lack when transitioning to that preservation phase. It is important for you to not only be aware of the mindset shift between the two phases, but also be aware that a change in investments may be necessary too. The problem is most of you have a 401k or retirement plan through work. You get very little guidance from your plan administrator or the people there at work. And a lot of times you have to make these adjustments all on your own, in my opinion. It would be in your best interest to look for a retirement specialist who deals with people just like you, people who are retiring or wanting to retire in the next 5 to 10 years. They have a great amount of experience, and their job is to help you with situations like this. And the first step they may suggest when transitioning from that accumulation phase to the preservation phase is rolling over your 401k or retirement plan to an IRA. So now what we want to talk about are some benefits in doing this and transitioning from those 401ks or those company plans over to an IRA.
Yeah, and I think, Chad, probably the most important thing when you go through this, and this is something that most people aren't doing every day. I mean, you're not out there being that retirement specialist. You have other duties at your job. So you don't want to do this alone, and you need that specialist that does this every day to kind of help guide you to make those decisions and make the right decisions.
So let's jump in and discuss some of the benefits of rolling your money over to an IRA. And the first thing is, if you're still working, you need to understand what an in-service withdrawal is. What that means, if you're over 59 and a half and you're still working, you can take some of that 401k and roll it over to an IRA. Have no tax consequences. You still keep your 401k open at work. You still keep pumping money into that. But now you take some of that money and put that money into an IRA. And when it comes to your 401k, you need to look at it as two different buckets, what you have made and what you could make. And you need to invest both differently. If you have a 401k that currently has, let's say, $500,000 in it, then you want to lock those gains in. That's money you've made. Then the new money you're pumping in every pay period, every 2 weeks or so, you want to make sure you're taking a little more risk with that money, because if the market's down, we're going to buy in as the market goes down, Chad, so when it comes back up, we have an even bigger gain. So that's what's called dollar cost averaging. However, we sit down with people each and every day, and what we find out is they have those 401ks or they have those company plans, and the majority of it is all sitting at risk in the market, which can be a huge problem because we look at what happened in the fall of 2018 when the market dropped 15%. So instead of locking those gains in, now you have to have a 20% gain just to get back to where you were.
And you know, that's something common. We're hearing, you know, people come in and they say, oh, the end of last year, October, November, December, you know, we took a pretty big hit and we're just now getting back to where we were prior to that. And so this is important. And what we also see is a lot of people, you know, they turn 59 and a half, they're still working, they don't plan to retire for a few more years. They don't even realize that this option's even available out there, called that age-based or in-service withdrawal, to really put them in more control and give them more investing options.
Speaking of in control, that brings us to number 2. It's time for you to take control of that money. And this may be, in my opinion, the most important benefit. The days of your employers, as we talked about earlier, taking care of you are gone. This is money that you have built over the past 20 to 30 years, and as soon as you can take control of that, you definitely want to do that. Also, Chad, we've dealt with a lot of retirees or pre-retirees that are getting ready to retire, and they have 401ks where their company is changing 401k providers. Even though they wanted to make some changes, they couldn't because they have what's called a blackout period. In other words, even though you've been pumping your money into this for the past 30 to 40 years, it's a blackout period. You cannot touch that money. So as soon as you can, take control of that. That's something you definitely want to take advantage of.
Well, and you look at it, this is your money. This is money that you've worked for, you've contributed to. If you're lucky enough, maybe your employers kind of added a little bit over the years, but you've spent 20, 30, maybe even 40 years building this nest egg. You deserve the right to be able to take some control of your own money and start building that game plan for retirement.
And number 3, Chad, we're going to jump into on the strategy play here in just a little bit, but I do want to hit on it. More investment options. In other words, inside of your 401k, those of you that have company plans or accounts through work, you know you're limited in what you can invest in. So we're going to go into a lot more detail on our strategy play, how that can benefit you. And of course, number 4, a lot more safe havens for that money. Inside of your 401k or company plans, really the only safe haven you have is what's called a stable value fund, which is basically a money market mutual fund. And of course, number 5 would be a multi-generational IRA. In other words, you want to make sure these accounts are set up for you and your family and not the IRS. Because if you and your spouse were to pass away now, and let's say you have $500,000 or $1 million in those retirement accounts, your beneficiaries do not have a choice. In the year after you pass away, they have to start drawing all that money out, and that's all taxable income. So you want to make sure it's set up properly. God forbid if something were to happen to you, to be passed on to your children, your grandchildren, whoever your beneficiaries may be, in the most tax efficient manner.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much what we see is one of the most important things is giving those loved ones, giving those family members the benefit, the options to stretch the tax burden out, and just give them those options to set that up as a multi-generational IRA.
And it's all about education. And to better educate yourself, you can download our free white paper today about the changing story of retirement. To do that, we encourage you to visit www.schlegelfinancial.com/empoweryou. When we come back on our strategy play, we're going to further show you the benefits of doing an in-service rollover, and we're going to go into all the benefits of having more investment options and what that means for you. Stay with us. We'll be right back. The number one concern of retirees today is outliving their hard-earned dollars. It is more important now than ever to educate and empower yourself to make better decisions with your money that it has taken you 30 to 40 years to accumulate. How do you do this? By using our financial GPS, our guided planning system. This is a 4-step process to help get you successfully to and through retirement. The first step in this process is to create clarity. Here we will help identify your goals as well as your concerns and identify what you want to accomplish in retirement. The second step, we will analyze the risk you're taking with your current portfolio, and this step will also identify exactly what you are paying in fees. In the third step, we will evaluate and assess your current plan and help identify the gap between the missing pieces. And in the fourth and final step, this is where we will work together to implement a plan of action to accomplish your retirement goals. And this process can take place at any one of our convenient locations in Missouri and in Illinois. So call now to get set up on that right path on your journey through retirement. Welcome back into the Chad Schlegel Show, coaching you to and through retirement. On this week's strategy play, we're going to further show you the benefits of doing an in-service withdrawal, even if you are still continuing to work. And this is something, Chad, that we run into almost every day in our practice. We'll run into somebody that is 62, 64 years of age. They're wanting to retire, and even though they're still working, they have no idea that they have this in-service withdrawal available to them.
Yeah, and I think, people just think, while I'm working, I got to keep pumping money into my 401k. There's really no other options other than what they're giving me. And that's pretty common, but there are other options out there. And as many of you know that are investing in your 401k, when you look at your 401k, you're pretty limited in there.
Yeah, this is one of the things that we talked about earlier, is you're very limited in your 401k options inside of your 401k. In other words, there's very few investment options. And one of those biggest problems, as we mentioned, Chad, if you want your money to be safe, in other words, if you're 6 months out from retiring and you're not going to make a lot of money, you want to be able to put your money someplace where if the market does have a 10, 15, or 20% correction, you're not going to lose that money. And really the only place inside of a 401k, or one of the few places, is what's called a stable value fund, which is a money market mutual fund. As far as your risk investments, most of you have money sitting in target date funds, maybe some index funds, maybe some mutual funds or bond funds, but overall, you're very limited in what you can invest in. And when you turn 59 and a half, and now you have access to this in-service withdrawal, now you want to make some changes. Why? Because now you have the whole universe at your fingertips to do what is best for you and your family, not what's best for the company. So we talk about, Chad, and it's what you call a age-based rollover option. So we look at your 401k here by rolling some of that money over. And I think an important thing here, again, as I mentioned earlier, you want to look at your 401k in two different buckets, what you've made and what you could make. So a lot of times that money you've made, so let's say you have $500,000 or $750 in your 401k, that's money you've made. You want to be smart and not take as much risk with that money. So that's the money that you would roll over, Chad, into your IRA. The new money that you're going to put in every pay period, continue to do that. You keep your 401k open, but now you have a lot more investing options, Chad.
Yeah, and as you can see here with your rollover IRA and that IRA, now it puts you in control of how you invest the money. It gives you more investment options, and also, whether you have a pension, What is your income? What's that budget that you're going to need from this money when you retire? Now we can start doing some other planning, whether it be, building a family pension, whether it be maybe having some legacy or some long-term care protection, or whether it be maybe investing in some more income-driven investments in the stock market as well. But what we see is creating a lot better balance when it comes to your IRA.
A lot better balance, Chad, and overall insulating that portfolio from a downturn in the market and locking in what you've already made, because again, that's your money, not the company's money. Are you looking for ways to help protect your nest egg in retirement? Do you need help creating an income stream that will last throughout your lifetime, no matter how long you live? If so, we encourage you to give us a call today, and that's this week's Strategy Play. If you have any questions about today's show, or if you would like for us to discuss a new topic, email us at askchad@schlegelfinancial.com to have your questions answered on the show. And we'll be right back with some of the key takeaways from today. Your host, the coach, Chad Schlegel, and joining
I'll be with you guys in just a few minutes.
When it comes to your health, your life, your family, your home, and your hard-earned dollars, of course you want to make sure you're working with that sharp, energetic, knowledgeable individual that is always looking out for your best interest.
Such short notice, appreciate it.
Thanks. It's time to get your financial house in order. This is the new age of retirement planning. In the Wall Street world, that's what they talk about. You got to have
Now back into the Chad Schlegel Show, coaching you to and through
We
retirement.
are Schlegel Financial. Call now, 888-294-9248. Welcome back into the Chad Schlegel Show, coaching you to and through retirement. We've covered a lot of information today, so let's jump into the key takeaways from today's show. Number one, be aware of the potential changes in retirement plans moving forward and understand it's about constant education. Number two, understand the mindset and investment shift from the accumulation phase to the preservation phase and why it's so important to insulate your portfolio from a downturn in the market. And number three, of course, know the benefits of rolling your 401k or retirement plan over to an IRA, even if you plan on continuing to work. And also, to further educate yourself, we encourage you to download our free white paper today about the changing story of retirement. To do that, visit www.schlegelfinancial.com/empoweryou. And of course, Schlegel Financial, to further educate you and our team of advisors, we have educational events coming up in your area to make sure you are prepared for today's retirement. For more information and to sign up for one of these events, call 888-294-9248 or visit chadschlegelshow.com. Remember, folks, success is waking up in the morning, whoever you are, wherever you are, no matter how old or young you are, and bounding out of bed because there's something out there that you love to do, that you believe in, that you're good at, and you can hardly wait to get at it again today. At Schlegel Financial, realize that this is bigger than our team. It's about educating you, the public, and our wonderful clients, and empowering you to make better decisions with your hard-earned dollars. For my colleague, Chad Tobin, this is the coach, Chad Schlegel. Thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to visiting with each and every one of you next week.
Clothing for the Chad Schlegel Show is provided by AL Custom Clothiers, a custom men's clothier that understands the value of offering our customers the best for less. ALCustomClothiers.com or 314-570-6000.